Don't get it messed up. Russ is one of the best players our league has ever seen. And there's still a ton left in that tank. I don't know why people tend to try to write him off.
We only had a little snippet of that. There was way better stuff in that press conference, but whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw it in its entirety,
Saw it, yeah.
but it was good. It was really good. I'll start with you here, CJ. Do you think Darvin Ham can make it work with LeBron, AD, and Russ? Because some people have questions about how this roster is structured.
I think he can make it work because of the respect level that they're going to have for him. First of all, and being an ex-player, I think all those things matter. And he talked about being shot in the face growing up. He's not afraid.
That's the sound I was
He's
hoping
not
for.
afraid of the fans. He's not afraid of what comes from an expectation standpoint. He's not going to be afraid to challenge Bron, to challenge Russ, to challenge AD. And I think when you have that mutual respect for one another, you're willing to sacrifice. Sacrifice was a buzzword that he used throughout that press conference. He talked about Russ's defense. He didn't mention offense because he knows that offensively they're talented. They just have to work on spacing issues. They have to get shooting around them. And they all have to be willing to do the little things. But none of this is going to matter if they aren't healthy. I talked about this a ton. A healthy team gives you a chance to win a championship. A healthy team gives you a chance to gain that consistency, that trust, that chemistry, that camaraderie. And they weren't healthy last year. And that's been the difference, in my humble opinion.
I want to give Darvin Ham all the chance in the world. I'm happy he got this job. I'm supportive of it. My trepidation came from the fact that he's a first-year coach and the stuff that we were hearing about how the Lakers organization interfered with the coaching. Now, to their defense, they categorically denied this. They didn't tell Frank Vogel you had to play a player and you couldn't play this player. You had to sit him down and you had to give him this amount of minutes. They didn't do all of that. That's what they say. Others say otherwise. With all of that being said, Darvin Ham is a former player. He's a rough rider. You ain't going to push him around. You ain't going to intimidate him as a player. He's not scared to get in anybody's face and tell them what they need to hear in order for the betterment of the team and ultimately the positive outcomes that you're looking for. To answer the question directly, I believe if LeBron James and Anthony Davis are healthy, the Lakers could go to the playoffs with those two guys. My reservations are extremely deep about Russell Westbrook in this system. I think that Russell Westbrook is the kind of dude you got to give the ball to and let him do whatever it is that he does that has made him a perennial all-star and a future Hall of Famer. To work within the concept of a team run by LeBron James is extremely more difficult. And so him being at that press conference yesterday, actually to me, I didn't like it. And the reason I didn't like it is because, yes, you're still a member of the Lakers, but we all know everybody's been talking about what the Lakers need to do when it comes to Russell Westbrook. He's entering the last year of his deal. He's getting $47 million. Will somebody take him? Well, okay, you're going to keep him. How are you going to fix what happened last year? This is the issue. I don't like when people. I'm being careful about what I say, guys, just so you know, because Russell Westbrook is the kind of guy that when you say something, he thinks it's a character issue. Like you're getting at him, and I have to explain this on several occasions. Ain't talking about Russell Westbrook, the man. I think he's a good brother. He's got his heart in the right place. There's nothing about his character to smear. He can't shoot the ball well. He's not the greatest point guard as it becomes to decision making. He turns the ball over. And now he's been struggling to reach 68% for the free throw line. So when you take all of those things into consideration and you see what you've seen from the Los Angeles Lakers last year, I think as long as LeBron James and Anthony Davis are healthy, you can overcome it enough to be a playoff team. But that's about the height of my expectations for the Los Angeles Lakers.
So you said a random take, and then you explained a bunch of things about Russell Westbrook that had nothing to do with that take. And so I want clarification on this.
Sure.
What is your issue with Russell Westbrook being at that news conference?
That's a wild thing. That's a wild thing for you to say.
Tonight.
Him supporting his team, his organization, his coach, a fellow African-American man that gets hired by the Los Angeles Lakers.
Don't go there.
That's not you're saying, this is what you said.
But no. But see,
you said that
crossing the line when you bring up another African-American man. That's not where I'm going with
You
that.
said
I'm
that
talking about the Lakers organization discussing trading him.
What does that got to do with him?
Well, what I'm saying, no, what are you talking about? What that has?
You
to
said
do with
him going to the press conference. You're disappointed.
I'm saying, I'm saying,
Don't run the tape. We got the tape. That's what you
Can-
said.
Can I answer the
Steven,
the
please
Lakers
explain.
organization has been talking about moving Russell Westbrook. They're talking about trading him. My point is that this guy, there are question marks as to whether or not he's going to be a part of the team. That's all I
But
meant by
right now,
saying.
he's on the team.
I
And
understand
that's his
that.
new coach
Okay.
for the time
Do
being.
you want to take back that statement?
No.
I feel you don't want to take it back.
No, because I didn't mean it the way CJ
You
is trying to
said
interpret it.
Even if you didn't mean it the way I said it, you said that he shouldn't have been at the press conference, which
No,
is foul.
I said I did not lie.
He should have been at the press
First of all,
conference.
it's not foul.
I'm saying for him to not show up and
No,
he's in
no,
the city.
I'm not saying I'm not faulting him for being there. I'm saying the Los Angeles Lakers are trying to move this dude because last year was so uncharacteristically awful. You got people that think he's done. I don't believe that. I believe Russell Westbrook's got a lot left in him. But clearly the Lakers have some trepidation about it. Talk to the teams around the league and they'll tell you the trepidation that exists around Russell Westbrook. So if you're talking about moving this guy, remember he was supportive of Frank Vogel as well. Then he's sitting there at the end of the season saying, I don't know what the hell happened. You know, I was good. I was good to this guy. I was supportive of this guy, et cetera, giving off the impression that there was expectations that came with it in terms of it being reciprocated. So now I don't want to hear that when it comes to the new coach, Darvin Ham, because Darvin Ham is coming in there to coach the team to the best of his ability. What level of expectations do you have then? What level of reciprocation are you having then because you support the new guy coming on board? I'm talking about it from the standpoint of a Lakers organization that has taken the position that they've taken, albeit privately. And I'm saying, excuse me, when I see him at the press conference, it gives the impression, okay, are you keeping him here? Is this guy a part of the team for this upcoming season? Are you no longer talking about moving Russell Westbrook? I'm thinking about it along those lines. That's all.
So you're not thinking about it from the Russell Westbrook standpoint, because essentially
Right.
what you're saying, because Russell Westbrook was essentially being a professional by
Yes.
showing up at the press conference.
I was talking
He was
about the Los
supporting Darvin
Angeles
Ham.
Lakers
Okay. All
and
right.
the supposed
Okay.
relationship.
That
I
makes this
understand.
better because the way it came off
Yeah.
us and
I just wanted clarification.
it was
man.
like you
I
didn't
wanted
think he should be there. And I'm like, you have to show up for your coaches.
so- To answer this question real quick, and we've kind of talked about this a ton of times, and I'm not going to use your favorite catchphrase. I promise you. I won't say the word top heavy. Oh God. I said it.
The top heavy roster.
No, there's really three things here when I think about this team. Number one is we've seen throughout these playoffs the value of big two-way wings,
Okay.
and the Lakers traded those guys to get Westbrook. They elected not to sign Caruso, so they are lacking in that department. And asking next year a 38-year-old LeBron James to be that two-way wing throughout the playoffs, I just don't think that's realistic. They don't have the roster pieces currently that fills that void, which a lot of these teams, they all have big two-way wings. Secondly, and CJ and I have talked about this earlier today as well, secondly is the shooting. And they just don't have enough shooting. If you're going to play LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook together, that is going to be a clogged paint. Anthony Davis was not an efficient jump shooter last year. Russell Westbrook has never been an efficient jump shooter. And obviously LeBron James has increased his efficiency to great levels. So the third piece in all of that is how does Westbrook fit in all of this? And I think the one way you can make this work is obviously by building the roster around those two pieces, big two-way wings that can shoot, and obviously more shooting maybe involve a stretch five. But Anthony Davis has got to play five. And he is historically pushed back on the notion that he can play five. LeBron James had some success last year in certain lineups with shooting, being a screener, which is a role we saw a little bit in Miami and a little bit in Cleveland, but there were stretches last year in the regular season where he played that role as a screening, rolling five, and then making plays out of that. So you're going to have to ask people to maybe do things that they haven't done before. I don't know that you're going to be able to ask Russell Westbrook to do things that he hasn't done that's going to make him successful. He has to play a certain way. That's just reality. And I think it's the other guys that are going to maybe have to adjust their games a bit if the goal is to maximize Russell Westbrook.
Go ahead.
I think it's about sacrifice. I said it before. Someone has to sacrifice. That's the only way your team can be successful when you like to play in the same spaces. By same spaces, I mean AD likes to post up at 15 feet. He's a pick and pop guy, great mid-range shooter, back to the basket, around that 12 to 15 feet. where he can spin and get lobs. Russ likes to back guys down, play isolation, attacking transition, pick and roll. High usage guy who likes the ball in his hands. I haven't even talked about Bron, who's, top 5 greatest players of all time.
High usage.
Loves to have the ball in his hands. High usage. He has to step back to freedom now. He'll shoot threes, but he still loves to have the ball. So I think the biggest thing is someone has to sacrifice. Someone has to work on catching and shooting the basketball, right? Because you have to play off the ball because it's only one ball and there's 5 of y'all. 3 of y'all average 20 a game. So I think the sacrifice has to come, but I think that's up to Coach Ham to kind of figure things out.
But I don't think the sacrifice really is necessary with the case of Anthony Davis. He just has to be healthy. Because Anthony Davis, if you're the LeBron James, you're going to want to get him the basketball. LeBron James has no aversion to that. The issue is LeBron James and Russell Westbrook. Because LeBron James is 37-19 in the league, be 38 next season. You got Russell Westbrook. He turns 34 in November. Both of them have been in the league for more than a decade, obviously. How easy is it going to be to get what you just pointed to get one of these guys, if not both of them, to make the necessary sacrifice? I mean, we can say it. We all know it. The question is, how plausible it is. How likely is it that that kind of sacrifice is going to happen? I'm asking you. I'm looking at you right now.
I guess time will tell. Him showing up to the press conference showed me that he's buying in. I think Ham is going to be willing to challenge him offensively and defensively. And I think back to Russ in Houston.
See what you just did?
I think back to Russ in Houston. He played off the ball in Houston. James was very dominant, obviously.
And he wanted out.
Yeah, but he averaged 27.
He was fantastic.
I'm not saying he needs to be that Russ. I'm saying he can play off the ball. He just has to be aggressive on his catches, and he needs to play with the second unit. How
can he play off the ball?
That's a rotation.
How can he play off the ball?
Catch and drive.
Oh, catch and drive. I thought you was going to say catch and shoot because we going to stop the show right there because we know we can't say that.
CJ,
okay?
Would you not agree with me that the fit of that team, the other 3 guys, it was a 5-out offense. PJ Tucker, they traded Clint Capella. PJ Tucker ended up playing 5 for that team. That's when he took off. You look at his stats up until mid-December of that. We played against them early in the season when they still had Capella. We were just packing the paint.
Right.
I mean, that's all I started the game on Westbrook, and I just stood in the paint the whole game. So it wasn't until they traded Capella, they went 5 out, and they had 3 other shooters besides Westbrook.
But what I'm going to get on you about, how come you didn't get on him about? First of all, I bring up Russell Westbrook at the press conference. You get on me about that. He just brought up Russell Westbrook at the press conference. You didn't pick that up.
I said that I liked that he was there.
Let me finish.
I said that I liked that he was there. I said that he was showing that he cares. He's investing.
I'm getting to a point. Don't interrupt me.
Where is this going to go? Where is this going to go?
He just brought it up in a positive light. What did he say? He said, you're there. You obviously support the coach. What I'm pointing to is that the same thing he did with Frank Vogel. And so what happens is that you support Frank Vogel. You think Frank Vogel's going to support you. And then suddenly, midway during the season, I don't know what the hell they want. They asked me to do one thing. The next thing you know, they want me to do something else. And we're talking about how they're not on the same page.
Yeah, that's why they were the 11th seed.
We're talking about why they're not on the same page.
What does this have to do with this new situation? They doing 4 out, 1 in now. They talk about spacing.
Every situation, I understand that every situation is different. I respect that. But what I'm trying to say is that past habits give indications about future actions sometimes. And if you have an expectation because you've cultivated a relationship with somebody and then the season starts and they're asking you to do something you don't want to do, it could cause the kind of problems we watched last year. Talk about keeping receipts. Is that a receipt?
I don't think that was the word.
Please.
Hey, before we go to break, one side note, were you guys impressed with the press conference? I mean, I know it's just a press conference, but that would be a guy I would want to run there.
I love that press conference. I like the way he handled himself, and that's why I think this is going to be different because of the respect level that they're going to have for him, understanding the appreciation. But I think he's going to challenge them in a unique way. Yeah. He talked about it. He didn't even talk about offense. He said, I want to see Russell Westbrook play defense the way he's played historically.
Gave up 115 points a game last year. 28.
All right, let's go. We're talking about Ham now. I moved on to Ham. Coming up on First Take, Draymond.